For 65 years, he had no name. No family claimed him. No one mourned him publicly. He was just the boy in the box, America's unknown child. But in 2022, a second cousin's simple decision to upload their DNA changed everything. This is the story of Joseph Augustus Zarelli and how modern science finally gave him back what was stolen, his identity. If you believe every victim deserves justice, no matter how long it takes, hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video and drop a comment about the power of never giving up. Because today's story proves that even after decades of silence, truth has a way of breaking through. Let's dive in. February 25th, 1957, Fox Chase, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Picture a cold winter morning, the kind where your breath hangs in the air and frost clings to everything it touches. A young man is checking his muskrat traps in a wooded area off Susquehanna Road. It's routine work, mundane, until it isn't. There, discarded among the underbrush like worthless trash, sits a cardboard box, a JCPenney bassinet box to be exact, the kind that should contain hope and new beginnings. Instead, it contains horror. Inside that box is the naked body of a small boy. The responding officers stood there, I imagine, their stomachs churning, trying to process what they were seeing. This wasn't just a body. This was a child, someone's son, brother, maybe a grandson. His small frame had been carefully wrapped in a flannel blanket before being placed in that box. Someone had even cut his hair, recently it seemed, in what might have been a final twisted
Act of what? Care? Concealment? The medical examiner's report painted a devastating picture. The boy was between 4 and 6 years old, standing about 3.5 feet tall, weighing maybe 40 pounds. His body told stories his voice never could. Signs of chronic malnutrition, evidence of long-term neglect, scars that suggested a history of abuse that stretched back through his short life like a dark thread. And the cause of death? Blunt force trauma, a series of blows to the head that no child should ever endure. But here's where this case becomes even more haunting. Nobody knew who he was. Think about that for a moment. A child, young enough to still believe in magic and monsters under the bed, disappeared from somewhere, and nobody reported him missing. No frantic mother called the police. No desperate father posted flyers. No teacher noticed an empty desk. No neighbor wondered why they hadn't heard his laughter in the yard. It was as if he'd never existed at all. The investigators didn't give up, though. They launched one of the most extensive missing persons investigations in Philadelphia's history. They circulated over 400,000 flyers with the boy's postmortem photograph, a decision that must have been agonizing but necessary. They created facial reconstructions, hoping anyone would recognize those features. Tips poured in, each one a potential answer. Each one ultimately leading nowhere.
Over the years, theories emerged and dissolved like morning fog. One woman came forward claiming she'd witnessed the boy's abuse at the hands of a family who'd purchased him, but her story had inconsistencies that investigators couldn't reconcile. Other leads proved equally frustrating, promising at first, then crumbling under scrutiny. The boy was buried in a small plot, his grave marked with a headstone reading America's Unknown Child. Local detectives would visit on his estimated birthday, leaving toys and flowers for a child they'd never known but couldn't forget. Decades passed. The original investigators retired. Some passed away, but they never stopped caring about this case. New generations of detectives inherited it, each one determined to be the one who finally gave this boy his name back. And then came the revolution in forensic science.
DNA testing emerged in the 1980s, but it took years for the technology to become refined enough, affordable enough, accessible enough to apply to cold cases. In 2019, Philadelphia police exhumed the boy's remains, extracting DNA that had been preserved for over 6 decades in his bones and teeth. But DNA alone wasn't enough. You need something to compare it to. Enter investigative genetic genealogy, the same technique that caught the Golden State Killer. Instead of just looking for exact matches in criminal databases, this approach uses public DNA databases where people voluntarily upload their genetic information to find relatives and build family trees. The DNA was sent to a specialized lab. Genetic genealogists began the painstaking work of building family trees backward and forward through time, looking for connections, following branches that stretched across generations. And then, in November 2022, they found it, a break, a real, tangible lead.
A second cousin, someone who'd uploaded their DNA to a public database for entirely innocent reasons, probably hoping to discover their ancestry or connect with distant relatives, had unknowingly provided the key to a 65-year-old mystery. Imagine being that person. Imagine uploading your DNA to learn about your heritage, maybe find some third cousins you never knew existed, and then getting a call from police saying your genetic information just helped identify a murdered child from 1957. The Philadelphia Police Department held the name close at first. They needed to verify. They needed to be absolutely certain. They stated only that the boy was a member of a prominent family in Delaware County. The waiting must have been excruciating for everyone involved. The investigators who devoted years to this case, the public who'd followed it for generations, and most importantly, any surviving family members who might have wondered for 65 years what happened to their relative. Finally, on December 8, 2022, the announcement came. His name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Joseph, not the boy in the box, not America's unknown child. Joseph. Born January 13, 1953, he was 4 years and 42 days old when someone ended his life and left him in that box like he was nothing. But Joseph was something. He was someone. The revelation of his identity opened new investigative avenues. Now police knew which family to look at. They could track down relatives, interview those still living, examine family dynamics from that era. They could ask the questions that had been impossible before. Where was Joseph in the years before his death? Who cared for him? Who hurt him? And ultimately, who killed him?
The person responsible for Joseph's death may never face earthly justice. Statistically, they're likely deceased by now. But something profound happened when Joseph got his name back. He ceased being a symbol and became a person. He stopped being a mystery and became a child with a birthday, a heritage, a place in a family tree. The gravestone could finally bear his real name. For the investigators who never gave up, some who'd worked this case for 30, 40 years, this was vindication. Their persistence mattered. Their refusal to let Joseph remain nameless mattered. And for that second cousin who uploaded their DNA, they gave Joseph something no one else could, his identity. They didn't set out to solve a murder. They just wanted to know where they came from. But in doing so, they helped ensure a murdered child would be forgotten no more. This case reminds us that justice isn't always about punishment. Sometimes it's about dignity. Sometimes it's about making sure that even the most vulnerable, even the most forgotten, are remembered. Joseph waited 65 years for his name. Science and persistence finally gave it back. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of long-delayed justice. Drop a comment. Do you think cases like Joseph's should remain open forever, no matter how much time passes? Share this video because